Just that brief moment of I saw what was around his neck and realized he could have grabbed that at any minute.
This morning for you on Daybreak, we'll hear reactions from customers and how they felt when a man walked into a Walmart neighborhood market with a rifle and a vest on. And we also hear from the former firefighter who held the armed man at gunpoint until police were able to arrive. That's all coming up this morning on Daybreak. Of course, a very developing story we're following for you throughout the morning. It's Friday, August 9th. I'm Lauren Barnes. Joe has the morning off. Meteorologist Elisa Raffa joins me in the studio, though. And before we get to all of that developing news and many interviews we'll want to show you, we want to take a check of the forecast, our forecast first. And I see earlier I saw you playing with the radar, so that's how I know the rain is not over yet.
Yeah, we're still tracking a couple of showers to the south. The good news is in Missouri, that heavy rain threat is over, right? Okay. The front continues to shift to the south, and because it's shifting to the south, and we have all this moisture laying around and the clearing skies, we get dense fog to develop.
Okay, so something to watch out for as you leave your house this morning.
Right, if you head on the roads, it might be a little bit tough to see at times. That dense fog advisory is in effect for most of our southwest Missouri counties. It does include Springfield and Branson through 9 a.m. because we could have that visibility down to a quarter mile or less this morning. That flash flood watch again canceled for all of our Missouri counties, only remains until 10 a.m. for northwest Arkansas, so that's some good news there. Here's some of that visibility. We're down to a half a mile in Branson, 3/4 of a mile in Joplin, and it looks like we have some fog along I-44 as well. The radar still has some showers and thunderstorms down to the south in north central Arkansas near Alco and Melbourne, but that's about it, right? We continue to see this southerly trend in that front where the heavy rain is going. It's 70 degrees in Branson, 69 in Springfield. Remember, we do have some red light conditions this morning because of the fog. We'll have some wet roads with a couple of showers through at least part of the day today. We're not out of the woods of storm chances yet. We keep a chance of showers and storms through the day today with those temperatures in the low to middle 80s. So again, we're tracking fog, rain, and a dry and hot weekend. Your forecast is up in 10 minutes.
Beginning with what's making news now. Police arrested a man yesterday who walked into a Walmart neighborhood market with guns and 100 rounds of ammunition. It happened on Republic Road, and with the recent string of mass shootings across the nation, everyone is on high alert. Our own Jesse Inman has reactions from customers who were in the store on Republic.
What was a normal shopping trip for Jeremy Lauderdale and his family was cut short this afternoon.
This siren goes off, a real loud siren goes off for like a second, and then they say suspected fire, possible fire, exit immediately. And there's an employee standing there, and I was like, looked at him like that, and he's like, I don't know. And this lady was screaming at us, she's like, get out now, get out, just yelling, and we're like, oh my gosh, I don't smell a fire.
Lauderdale says the employees got everyone out quickly and that people outside were shaken up.
Not really a panic, but everybody's scared. They were just concerned and just had no idea what was going on. There was an off-duty fireman that stopped this, and he had a weapon on him, so if it wouldn't have been for that guy, who knows what could have happened today.
Lauderdale and his family left after the evacuation, but one woman pulled up right at that time.
Was just sitting there getting ready to get out of my car when I heard off to my left someone yelling, "Is that a real rifle?"
That was enough to get Julie Ballou's attention when she pulled up to Walmart. That's when she saw this 20-year-old with his hands up and the man holding him at bay outside the store. She pulled her phone out to record the scene, and police eventually showed up to detain and arrest the man.
There was just that brief moment of I saw what was around his neck and realized he could have grabbed that at any minute. And so just kudos to everybody that was around me that made me feel safe.
She eventually went back inside to get her groceries and asked the cashier what she had seen.
I told her I'd seen him outside, and she said that he had been walking around the store scaring people with his phone and the rifle, and we're being terrorized by our own citizens, and it has to stop.
Now, we are watching for formal charges this morning. That won't, most likely those won't be filed until the prosecutor gets in later this morning, though. Continuing with this coverage, Cullerton spoke to the man that says he's the one who held the armed man at gunpoint until police arrived. He's a former firefighter and says he detained him and his own firearm. He has asked us to refrain from using his name and showing his face. The former firefighter was shopping for groceries with his wife at Walmart when staff pulled the fire alarm. He says after that it was chaos. Staff was pushing everyone toward the doors. He says he's hopeful that by stepping in, he prevented something terrible from happening.
And I walked up to the grass and asked him if he was the male inside, and he stated yes, and I drew my weapon, told him to put his hands in the air. He complied, was compliant the whole time. He was videotaping on his phone, which was kind of odd, but he complied with my request that he keep his hand in the air. And he asked me to come up there and take his weapon from him. I told him to keep his hands off of it, to keep his hands in the air, and that when the police arrived, that they would take his weapon. I've been in public safety for a long time, and even though I'm no longer in public safety, I still feel that I can still protect people if I need to, and that was my intention. Hopefully my actions prevented something like El Paso from happening.
The former firefighter says he did not know if the armed man was ready to inflict pain or if it was a protest. Police say they were thankful for the quick response from both the former firefighter and officers on scene. Now, to make sure we're tackling both sides of this issue, we sat down with the owner of Eagle Armory in North Springfield. We asked Zach Tierhark about responsibility of owning a gun. He says the vast majority of gun owners would never do something like this, and owning a firearm is more about defense.
I'd say the whole point of either open carrying or concealed carrying a firearm is not to get attention. It's definitely not to make a political point. It's to protect the people around you and protect yourself. And so obviously, behaving like this is definitely irresponsible and counterproductive, especially with recent events.
Tierhark says there are events where people publicly display their guns, but it's usually a pre-planned event and the public knows it's happening. He also believes the man put his own life in danger by displaying his weapon in this way. Now, we also reached out to Walmart to find out what the store's policy is with carrying guns on store property. Randy Hargrove, a spokesperson for Walmart, says each Walmart location abides by local and state laws. We checked the front area of the Walmart and found no signs posted about carrying or restricting firearms from being inside the store. Active shooter drills are becoming more prevalent in the wake of the two mass shootings like last weekend. We spoke to Sergeant Eric Schroeder, who talked about the run, hide, fight technique and which ones to use during an active shooter situation. Running is what you should do first as long as you can do it safely. If you're unable to get away, hiding is the next best option. You should try to find a place to hide and barricade the doors with as much stuff as possible. Fighting is the last resort. If you can't hide or run, try to disarm the shooter or fight them in any way you can. He also talks about the importance of being aware.
We hear gunfire, we hear loud banging noises. One of the things that people do is they go into a denial phase. They hear the gunshots, but they think it's a car backfiring. They think it's construction. What people need to be more aware of is when you hear the pop, 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 if your instinct is that's not right, something's wrong, we should be reacting and not sitting there and being curious about what that sound is.
And if you're in an active shooter situation with a gun, it could be your decision whether or not to try and stop the shooter. Schroeder says try only to do so if you are sure of your abilities. Still ahead for you on Daybreak, Facebook is offering big money to certain news outlets. We'll explain why in your Money Watch in just a few minutes.
From Color 10 Ozarks First, Lauren Barnes, Joe Morano, and weather with meteorologist Alisa Raffa. This is Color 10 News Daybreak.